Hello guys, my name is Brian Mego Garengo, BPA student at Croatia and Foundation. To this video, I'm gonna present you the Pavlov classical conditioning. Ivan Pavlov history. Born in September 26 in 1849, died on February 27 in 1936. He was awarded the degree of Candidate of Natural Science in 1875. He was awarded the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine 1994 in recognition of his work on the physiology of digestion. What is conditioning? Conditioning in behavior physiology is a theory that the reaction response to an object or event, a stimulus by a person or animal can be modified by learning or conditioning. Stimulus response (OSR) theories are central to the principle of conditioning. They are based on the assumption that human behavior is learned. Classical conditioning. Classical conditioning is a type of learning that happens unconsciously. When you learn thought classical conditioning, an automatic condition response is paired with a specific stimulus. An experiments on canine digestion, Pavlov found that over time dogs were salivating not only when their food was presented to them, but when the people who fed them arrived. Conditioning is beneficial in an evolutionary sense because it helps us create expectation to prepare for future events. There are the terminologies. In Pavlov classical conditioning, there are four components. First is unconditioned stimulus. This is thing that triggers an automatic response. Food is unconditioned stimulus in Pavlov dog experiments. Second is unconditioned to response. This is what response naturally occurs when you experience that unconditioned stimulus, such as salivating from the food. Third is conditioned stimulus. This is considered a neutral stimulus when you're presented with it over and over before the unconditioned stimulus. Egg food, it will start to evoke the same response. The bell before the food is the conditioned stimulus. And last one is conditioned response. This is the acquired response to the conditioned stimulus. The bell, which is often the same response as the unconditioned response. So the dogs salivated for the bell the same way they salivated for the food and the front them. There are three stages in Pavlovian conditioning. The first is before conditioning. The second is during conditioning. Lastly is after conditioning. Before conditioning is when the unconditioned stimulus and unconditioned response come into play. This is the natural response that was thought. For instance, food produce salivating or a stomach virus produce nausea. At this point, the conditioned stimulus is still called the neutral stimulus because it currently has no effect. This image shows the stage before conditioning. During conditioning, we begin to associate the neutral stimulus with the unconditioned response. For instance, you may associate a specific type of food with a stomach virus, or the bell ring before getting food may be associated with receiving food. This is sample image in during conditioning. After conditioning, once you've learned to associate the conditioned stimulus with the unconditioned response, it becomes the conditioned response. So the specific type of food now produce nausea, even if was necessarily what caused the stomach virus, and the bell creates salivation. In this way, you unconsciously learn to associate the new stimulus, whether stimulation, object, person, and etc., with the response. In this after conditioning, they are processed during conditioning. Extension. This term is used when you start presenting the conditioned stimulus, the bell, over and over, but without the unconditioned stimulus, the food. Over time, the dogs would unlearn their conditioning that the bell means food is coming. Generalization. This refers to when you can generalize similar things and respond the same way. Dogs begin salivating at sounds similar to bells because they were generalizing what they learned. Discrimination. The opposite of generalization. This is our ability to tell the difference when something is similar but not identical, so it won't produce the same response. A horn sound, for instance, would make the dog salivate. Education implication for developing good habits, developing positive attitude towards learning, to eradicate tension and fear among children, readjustment or maladjust children in classroom. Thorndike's Connectionism, 1873 to 1949. Edward Lee Thorndike History. American physiologist, pioneer in comparative physiology, PhD, Columbia U, 1898. Animal Intelligence, an experimental study of the associative processes in animals. Connectionism by Edward Thorndike. The learning theory of Thorndike represents the original SR framework of behavioral physiology. Learning is the result of association forming between stimuli and response. Such association or habits become strengthened or weakened by the nature and frequency of the SR pairings. The paradigm for SR theory was trial and error learning, in which certain responses come to dominate others due to rewards. The hallmark of connectionism, like all behavioral theory, was that learning could be adequately explained without referring to any observable eternal states. Connectionism theory, three laws of learning. First is law of readiness, second is law of exercise, three is law of effect. Law of exercise. The law of exercise states that behavior is more strongly established through frequent connection of stimulus and response. In 1939, Thorndike determined that the second of his laws was not entirely valid in all cases. He also modified the law of effect to state the rewards. Example, continued practice is considered necessary for retention of what is learned. The teachers must help the learners to practice and review the desirable behavior as many times it tends to become habitual. Number 2. Law of effect. The law of effect principle developed by Edward Thorndike suggests that response closely followed by satisfaction will become firmly attached to the situation and therefore more likely to recur when the situation is repeated. There are image example of law of effect. Law of readiness. The law of readiness, a satisfying state of affairs result when an individual is ready to learn and is allowed to do so. Being forced to learn when not ready, or being prevented from learning when ready to learn, result is an underlying state of affairs. Law of readiness example. Individual learn best when they are physically, mentally, and emotionally ready to learn, and they do not learn well if they see no reason for learning. Additional laws and principle of Thorndike learning theory. First is multiple response or varied reaction, trial and error. Second, set or attitude, mind over matter. Third is partial activity or potency of elements, essential or non-essential. Four is law of response by analog, from past to present. And lastly is law of associative shifting, being capable to respond. Application. According to this theory, the task can be started from the easier aspect towards its difficult side. This approach will benefit the weaker and backward children. A small child learns from skills through trial and error method only such as sitting, standing, walking, running, etc. In teaching also the child rectifies the writing after committing mistakes. Third is in this theory more emphasis has been laid on motivation. Thus before starting teaching in the student should be properly motivated. Four is practice leads a man towards maturity. Practice is the main feature of trial and error method. Practice help in reducing the errors committed by the child in learning any concept. 5. Habits are formed as a result repetition. With help of this theory, the wrong habits of the children can be modified and a good habits strengthened. 6. The effects of rewards and punishment also affect the learning of the child. Thus, the theory lays emphasis on the use, reward, and punishment in the class by the teacher. 7. The theory may be found quite helpful in changing behavior of the delinquent children. The children should cure such children making use of this theory. With the help of the theory, the teacher can control the negative emotion of children such as anger, jealousy, etc. 9. The teacher can improve the teaching method making use of this theory. He must observe the effect of the teaching method on the students and should not hesitate to make necessary change in them if required. Then the theory places more emphasis on oral drill work, thus a teacher should conduct oral drill of the thought contents. This help in strengthening the learning more. That's all for today's video. Thank you.